Hi, Akoba. We are starting the way JavaScript programming in Twi series. Each video I think that we'll be spending like 20 minutes on each video. And for this particular playlist, there, I recommend so if you're a complete beginner, so we need a little bit about HTML and CSS because to use JavaScript normally we would use it in HTML and CSS. Now JavaScript has become more than a framework, but for now, um, just know a little bit about HTML and CSS so that you would understand. Until we will go straight to the basic of JavaScript, then we will come up with how to write onto the document. Let me just write a quick one here. Um, um, Topics that things that might make more comment there say wow. Now about another you would do things like variables, right? Data types, assignment. Mm-hmm. Man, I can't type properly. Assignment and object. Then let's do something like for functions, right? Yeah, we will do something like this for a quick one. And when we start from here, how to create a variable in JavaScript, it's very easy. You have either start with the word um, var or let or const, right? It depending on which of the circumstances that work. Imagine so person create like a variable. It begins with the word var. It means a public. Obi anim no. Because you create public figure. Everybody knows a public figure. So in the whole page, they would know what that variable is. So friend maybe or we usually let it belongs to some particular areas like in a scope. Very soon we will learn what a scope is and how a scope works. But let in there, it always works in a scope, right? And see, if I want to give an example, I can tell you that this is a scope because it's between the opening and closing script tags, right? So it's a scope and constant here, and then you create here as an input within here. Whenever within is a standard, it remains the same thing. It's a constant here, always is constant. But as time goes on, you call maybe more, you know when to apply a let or const or a var. Until for now, let's learn about how to create a variable. And to begin, I'll start with the word let because I'm only in this scope, so it's useful to do that. And whatever I want to create is like maybe create a simple variable. A variable, you start with the letter. The next one is space. One is space, and you need to give it a name. So let's say name. I'm just going to call it a name, right? And a din the with my name of a but don't start with a number like one or any symbol. Be a best way to create a variable is using a word or an underscore or a letter, right? You see, I'll just say name, right? Name is a word, right? Name of a person, right? So name is what I'm giving to it. And now what you do next is you give it an assignation, right? You assign a data to it until you equal to. That means whatever you are going to store an information into the word name. That's what you're going to do. And then we have data types. Now at this point, I said skipping my data types. So we have strings, numbers, we have float. Let me just quick use some one numbers float. Let me just go arrays and let me just go objects, right? These are data types. Some basic, there are a lot of them. As time goes on, you going through most of them. At this point, they might be creating a name, and a name is a combination of letters and a combination of like words, letters. Or fine, I can add a number to a name, let's say a nickname or something, Pac-Man 120 or something. So like anything that is only letters or letters and combination of numbers or symbols, we call it a string. Now in a string, if you're entering a string, you need to begin with the quotes, right? Either you use a single quote or you use a double quote. Each of them here, it's okay. So one thing to know is that anytime Now, if so over here, I'm writing some things like this. These are called comments. Comment, computer does not interpret comments. It's something in the code for you as a reference. Anytime you outro code, you need to come back to it later, but you do what we call comments. And there are two types of comments. We have single line comment that begins with a double slash. I say, and I'll bet my multi-line comments. That one you begin with a slash and asterisk. Over asterisk needs to be then asterisk during the slash. So anything there over enter within this scope, it will be regarded as a comment, and the computer will not process it. So that's how you create a multi-line comment and a single line comment. So we have BBC a single line comment, and we say a multi-line. That's one thing that you should know. And comments are not readable by the computer. They are just there for human reference. A computer does not process comments. That's one thing that you should know, right? Now that you know this, let's go back to our variable. So now that we are going to store a string, because a string is a combination of like letters, right? To form a word or something or sentence. So we put them in the quotes. So what we are doing is I'm going to use a double quote. It doesn't matter. You can use a single quote. Okay. All right. There are some cases whereby you need to know which one to use, and started more examples. So I'm going to store a name, and the name I'm going to store is coffee. So now you can see that I'm pointing coffee into a name, right? I've created a variable, and the variable is like a container. A variable will be a container and it stores in the computer memory. And it's a woman who created a so many things so that you can call the computer to bring you that variable, right? And you're creating with a variable name, and you're assigning coffee amount. So anytime you're catching say name or my coffee, right? Beat my another one game. So let age. Now, age, anything be a number from 0 to 9, and a -1 to -9 be a number. In JavaScript, we call it a number, right? A number. A number there, it's interactive with code. You just enter the number. If it's -1, you enter it. If it is 2, you enter it, right? But at this point, no one has an age of -2, right? So let's give the reasonable age 20, okay? That means we're adding a number. Now, a float is basically a decimal, a number with a decimal point, right? That is a float. And with this way, I don't think so. I need to create. There's a human part that has a reference, or maybe you wait. But anyway, let me just say let weight equals, and wanting to know you can do this, right? A weight is 20.0, but a weight you might want to add a unit or something, right? And once you start doing this, you're combining a number, a character, and like another letter, right? So at this point, you need to put this into a string. But if say I wanted to do just 20.0, I could do that, right? But always, if it is not if also wanted to know is that want to mean another point game say it is not valid anymore. You can see that the editor has already highlighted it. But if it is just a floating point, let's say a price of something, then you can just leave it as a way. But let me just say shoe price, right? And one thing to know, you can create a variable with space. I can make type shoes, it means metro price or that is not valid. So anytime you need to create a space, you can replace it with an underscore, right? And you can do a hyphen too, right? So that means in a variable creation, not to mean just space one to mean for hyphen two, you need to use underscores to replace the spaces, right? There are conventions and ways of creating a variable. Some people prefer say instead of the space, and then the next word they'll make it a capital and take a shoe, so there's shoe price. This is how some people recommend you to create a variable. It doesn't actually matter how you create it, it's how you want it. The best way for you is what you would do, right? And I think have shoe price equals to 20.5, right? Okay, now if I want to add any other thing to it, like the symbol like see this, then I need to put this into quotation into quote to make it a string, right? So that's how you create a string. But anyway, I just want to create a floating data type, right? Now let's see what an array is. An array there, it's like a whole body, like array I said, containing a combination of informations. But the way an array is sorted, it can store multiple. Over here, at this point, the name variable is store only the word coffee in a store. It's a mere friend people from the but when you talk about an array is a school down and carry room. Do to because school down no for a way mammy. And what would the acquiring dinner call? Another account home property be never call. The way array work and say array stores information in index. So array stores information with index. That means it works this way because a whole building now you can put a lot of information. All the information you need to start from the index 0. It started from index 0 into fine. Before we create an array, let me say room equals an array, and you create an array. We start with the closing and then opening and closing brackets. That's how we create an array, and then we start putting in the properties, right? You see the properties that will be in arrays. Like let's say I'm going to store the variable we're creating a name or inside. The next you do is you put comma and then the word and maybe my age. I'm just going to store the information. You create natural or array that contains anything. You can combine strings and numbers and whatever. Array, right? Shoe price. Now I'm created with. Now the way it works is say this way index 0. This is index 1. This is index 2. So that's one thing you should know. Always it starts from 0. It doesn't start from 1. It starts from 0. So if I want name, I'll just call room index 0. What I say. Okay, so this is good. Now that you know how we create an array, and the way we will access information from the room. Let's say if you want the name from the room, we would just say console.log room, and then we'll give the index 0 because in array, the bracket in back. Normally the index our panel. This is a printed way our browser anymore. Let's see what it will tell us. Also, my the name Kofi. I printed Kofi because Kofi is what is here. It's the name, this thing that we are referencing. And in your catchy computer and say you hear a name, already knows you're creating has a name is Kofi. So if you go to computer memory and it will bring us back Kofi. If I put index 1 there, what do you think it will print? Yes, you got it right. To print the age, right? So I print the age, and that's how that we can access an array. Now the next of the line is object. Let's say an object. An object already sounds familiar in your ears. Object here. A human being is an object, like a person is an object. An object always has properties, right? And properties are their attributes, right? So let's just say you as a human being, you have a name, right? You have all this part of your body are components, and then they communicate, right? So someone can ask you what is your name. It's asking for a property of you, right? An attribute of you. So what is your name? And you give an answer. So that's how a property works. So an object works. So let me just say I'm going to create an object of a person. So definitely I will start with the let keyword or any var or constant, how you want it, and I'll say person equals. You begin with the opening and the closing curly brackets. That's what you do. And the way you work, I'm just going to hit enter just to indent it to make it look nice. The way we did array here, you can also indent it to make it look nice, but anyhow you want it, it's fine. The computer won't complain. This is not C++ or C# or one of the strict languages. Javascript is easy. So let's go ahead. So once you create a person, now you need to declare its properties, or let's say attributes that we can later call and ask for. So let's say a person has a name, right? So you give it a name attribute, and then the way you do it, instead of doing the equal to symbol, you do it with the double dotted symbol, like this thing here, right? And then you give it the name or like the value, whatever it's going to hold. So a name is a string. So let me just say this person is called Amma, right? Now the next I will do here is a person will have an age, right? So age is, let's say, 42, right? Sorry, for the age is an integer, so a number, so I don't need to put it in a string, right? And let's just say it's married, and let me just say false, right? Now, so this brings me back to a point where I left one of the important data types that would come at this point called Boolean, right? Booleans are just where you mark your computer and say here true and I say here false. I and a W. That is what Boolean technically means. And you create unless and you create. Into Boolean, the only or homer true and false pair. It doesn't change, constant everywhere. Sanity. That is just Boolean. The back at you say and you create and then you create. Into at this point, when you look for this person and then you check for is married out, back at you say it's false because that's what it's holding right now. The amount of information false, right? Good. And the way we access property, an object and its property or attribute, and say you call the name of it. So let me just say console.log. Now, anytime I type console.log, it means that I'm going to log something to the console. Console where I say like for debugging purposes, code that this things help you know what's going on in your code. If there are any errors on the printing, I say there as times that we go on to more practices and more works, you would see the need of console and why it's important as a developer to have it around your back. Right, good. So now the next thing is you make anytime you we create a we need to call the reference, right? The way we printed before the array, we did console log, and then we said room, and then we got the bracket with the index, so 0, right? But at this point we are not going to do that. Let me comment this out so the computer doesn't read this line. All right, so what we do here is we won't do person, and then we won't do this and say 0. Now the way we call an object is we call it, you see, when you call a person, you ask what is your name, you give it like the key name, and then they know key as an attribute of theirs, they have a response, and they give you a response back. So the way we call it, we access a property, we use the dot, right? And then we call it whatever name that is stored with. So let's say name or age or is married, and then it will tell us what the value is. So let's say right now, if we call it the name, and we check the console, when we refresh, it will say the name is Amma, because the person variable has a name Amma, right? So the person object, has the name Amma. That's how it is. If you access the property of age, it will tell us the age. That is refresh age 42. That is how we make reference to an object. I hope at this point it makes clear. So we can always access on Instagram or on WhatsApp or on Facebook, and anywhere. If you feel free, you can send an email, and anytime I'm available, I'll try to answer you. And if I've said that, let me just put the details here. On social media, I think my estimate is not, I think it is, I am Mohammed B, right? Do that type job I am. This is it. And for WhatsApp, I think the number is this. 147, right? So yeah, cool. Next on the line here, we are done with all these data types. We've talked about strings, we've talked about numbers, we've talked about booleans, we've talked about floats, we've talked about arrays, and we've talked about objects. So at least these how many 6 data types here are very important across all programming languages that you would be working on. So I'm praying you stick to it, you take it very seriously, and once move into other areas like Python, and then Kotlin, Swift, and other stuff, you won't be lost. You will still be able to catch up. So here we are going to learn what is called functions, right? Functions. That's what we are going to learn, what is called functions. Now let's assume say we have multiple person. So person 1 and person 2, and this person is called Twi, and this person is called what other name do I know? Right? It's quite unfortunate, no ladies' names. Really, it doesn't matter. 22, 15, right? Let's just say it this way. Let's say true for you. Obviously, 42, you should be married. If you're not married, you have a problem. Good. Okay, so let's just do this. Now, a function is like then maid then what you want is the maid to do you tea every morning, right? So this maid is performing a function, and every morning. So that's how functions work. So functions are asked to perform specific operations, and then that's what they do. They can perform and then bring us a response. Two one say uncle to be real, right? That's how functions work. So right now we're going to create a simple function that will tell us the name of a person, either person 1 or person 2, right? Because we don't know any of these persons, or we can't go out to ask of their name. So we want to create a function to tell us their name. So that is how we create a function. To create a function, we begin with the word function. And once we start with the word function, and then you give it the name of the function. So clue, just as we created the variables, don't start with a number or any symbol, start with an underscore or a letter, right? It's the best way to create function names, and make sure they are meaningful. Don't create a function with the name A, because when you come back 10 years time, you will forget about the meaning of the function or the meaning of the variables. Always create meaningful variables and meaningful function names, right? So you be man as tell me the name, right? Because it's going to give me a name of this person. So the way after the name, when set will be called opening and closing parentheses, right? And there's something here to do, but I'll come back to it later on once we go into deep, and I'll explain to you what it is. The next thing you need to open and closing curly brackets. Now I'll enter. So this is how we create a function, and this right here is a scope. This is a scope, right? And this is a function block, right? So now that we've created a function, we're going to tell this function to give us a name of a person, right? So let's do something. Console.log person.name. So this function is going to give us the name of person, the property of person, this property name that belongs to this person as an object, right? So the way we call a function is calling it name, tell me his name with closing and opening parentheses. This is how we call a function. Now let's see this and print in the console log. Now we got the name Amma. You get it? So person has a name Amma. If you call person1, person 1 will tell us the name Abena. If we call person 2, the name is called, did I give you the name Adwa? Okay, person 2. Let's refresh. I think I can refresh. Adwa, right? So that is how we create a function. And in the next video, we will go into deep and we will learn about most of the topics in here, as we've covered about comments, variables, operators, and we come and do some other stuff. We've done assignation, data types, we've done function, done object. We come to events, strings, and numbers, and all. I'm trying my best that we will tackle all these important topics so that you know your left from your right, and you can also write good interactive event with JavaScript, and you can go ahead to learn your favorite framework once that you know the basics of JavaScript. Okay, all right, thank you for watching this video, and subscribe, and always watch out for the next episode.